Okay, this is a 1987 Nikko Dictator, original, with no modifications done except for ball bearings. It does run, and it runs very, very well, but I tend to not run it because there are a limited number of these soft knobby tires in the world, and if you've ever driven a Nikko Dictator, you know that it will very quickly rub those tires bare, and then you don't have tires, and the look of the Dictator is really distinct. And even if you change just the tires, it just changes everything. You'll see that over here because this is Project Dictator. This is also a Nikko Dictator, but it is extensively modified. You'll see that changing the wheels really changes the look. These are modern wheels, and the only reason it's got modern wheels on it is because I don't want to tear up more original Dictator wheels. I have them, but I'm not going to run them. These are more street appropriate, and that's fine because if you try to put these guys on off-road at this point, they're just going to fall apart. The plastics are very old. So I want to take a look at what the modifications have been to this because if you're interested in Nikko stuff, this is about as good as it gets. The Dictator was the closest thing to a Tamiya Boomerang or Hot Shot at the time. And it was designed to be of comparable grade. And except for the fact that it had built-in electronics, it was comparable to those. It also has interchangeable parts. So the first thing you'd notice that's different about this Dictator is I've added body clips because you can't take the body clips off the original Nikkos. There's just screws there. And their reasoning was there's no reason for you to be in there doing anything. So if I take the body clips off, I can open it up, take a look underneath, and what we have are the modifications. So basically I've taken out all of that original stuff, all those original board electronics, PC board, and I've put a speed control that has dual motor output. Now these go to Traxxas 380 motors. Okay, so these are not the stock motors. You can see that they're quite a bit bigger due to Traxxas including a fan in there for cooling, that I had to 3D print these little extensions to make the motors fit. But they fit just fine. And again, the Traxxas 380s are extremely fast compared to the motors that came with it. Much more powerful. Now, I think I posted a video about this, or at least photos, onto one of the Facebook groups at one time, and someone said, why didn't you just go and put brushless motors on there? Well, there's a few reasons. Reason number one is cost. It was hard at the time to find a dual brushless system for under $300 or $400. And in addition, I didn't think it was period necessary. I mean, I want this to be reminiscent. It's modernized, but I don't want it to not be what it is. And these ran on brushed motors. And so I don't feel it's necessary to put brushless in there. I could. I just don't feel it's necessary. If I ran this enough that these motors needed to be replaced, I guess I could go that route, but there's no way that's going to happen. I'm not going to run it enough. In fact, probably the only time I'm going to run it is for the end of this video where I do an actual run of it and maybe compare it in speed to the stock Dictator. Stock Dictator does have its original radio, and I would be using that to drive it. This Dictator, Project Dictator, is using a modern 2.4 gig radio. Now, other than the ball bearings and the electronics, the only other thing that has been changed are the shocks. I went through dozens of different types of shocks from dozens of different types of vehicle, and it turns out that it is really hard to get shocks that fit the Nikko Dictator appropriately and have all of the travel that you're supposed to have. Took years to figure this out, to come up with something, and it was quite a surprise when I did as to what worked. Now, the original are just springs, but these are Team Losi 5.0, 2.5, I can't remember what the car is. I raced it for a while, but wasn't impressed, and so I had a box of low-C parts, and I just thought, well, there's no way that the long throw low-C parts are going to fit this thing. But one day I checked, and lo and behold, low-C shocks fit it beautifully. I don't like the look of them. I would have preferred what I had on here before was like anodized aluminum shocks. They were blue, and they sort of matched the blue in the body. I thought that was a really good look. There's also, I tried the Ultima shocks on there as well, and they're not correct. They don't work right for this particular car. It's a very unique stance, and wasn't intended to be compatible with other cars the way to me it would. So what we're going to do is just boot it up here and see how it's going. I haven't used it in quite some time. Just charged the battery. I'll try steering. Steering is good. I should note that I lied. There's a new servo in here. I don't know what servo is in there, but obviously it's not the stock servo. That just wouldn't work. So it's got a new servo. So I'm doing this one-handed camera work because I don't have a tripod with me at the moment. Tomorrow I want to do the outside speed test and performance test, and I'll need the tripod for that. I don't have it right now. So let's see what we'll do here. I'll prop this up. I'll probably be in here. Okay, so now it's propped up off the ground, so I can give it a little throttle, see how that goes. All right, here we go. Yikes. Good thing I glued the tires on. I wasn't expecting that. That was pretty intense. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to trying this out where I can't hit a pole or a car. I have to find a really wide open space, but that's next.